David Copperfield Slipped Me a Roofie is the 14th episode of the 6th season of Two and a Half Men. This is directed by Jeff Melman, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And it starts off with Alan and Melissa sharing a sausage in the kitchen, and Charlie comes in. Alan goes to get washed, and Melissa tells Charlie that she wants to throw Alan a surprise party for his 40th birthday. Charlie isn't interested in this, so he suggests maybe Melissa could ask Evelyn for help, because Evelyn would love that. And clearly that's not the case, because in the next scene, Evelyn's waking Charlie up, outraged that Alan's turning 40, and they all kind of have to go along with this now, because Alan kind of is aware that it's probably happening, and he's very happy about this. He's very excited about his surprise party that he doesn't know about. So they don't have a choice but to go along with this. And the next thing we know, Alan and Melissa are in the car. They're going to the restaurant where they're having the party. And it was a kind of a heartbreaking moment. It was very brief. But they walk in the room. Well, they walk in the restaurant and Alan feigns surprise, but they had a private room. So they go to the private room and there's nobody there. And it was genuinely a heartbreaking moment. But as Alan is bad-mouthing his family, he turns around and they're in the doorway holding gifts. And then we cut to them all around the table. It's a really nice atmosphere, really nice design. It looks really great. It's busy, but not too busy. And then Shelly arrives, Melissa's mother, and she's fabulous. I love Carol Kane so much, and I just think Shelly is a really brilliant character. And Melissa says that everybody can now say things about the guest of honour, and they try and give little speeches, but they don't really have anything nice to say about Alan, or they have some backhanded compliments. And Kelly's really annoyed by this. And I can understand if somebody you care about is celebrating their birthday and their own family has nothing really nice to say about them, that's going to be really irritating. And she stands up for Alan and says this isn't acceptable, and they end up leaving just before the magician arrives. And the next thing we know, Alan is going back to Charlie's house to get his stuff. He's moving in with Melissa and Shelly, and maybe it could work. And we're over there at the house. I like the house design. I think I mentioned that in the previous episode. It's a nice set. And he forgot Jake. And Melissa, ever positive, says it's not a problem. We'll make room for him. And Shelly doesn't seem bothered either. She doesn't seem bothered about very much, to be fair, with Shelly. And Alan seems to have landed on his feet. He gets hot chocolate with little marshmallows. Melissa's going to the market and she asks him what he wants, and she just wants to please him, and it seems like a really great time for Alan, which makes what he does next really, really frustrating. Is it his fault? Well, not technically, but it's still annoying. Shelly has made some banana bread, and Alan happily has his hot chocolate and his banana bread. It's clear that it's been laced with something. And Melissa comes back from the market, and Alan's not in the living room. He's not on the sofa anymore. And, well, it turns out he's in bed with Shelly. Which, yes, it's a funny moment, particularly as they have paint all over their face. It's definitely a comedic reveal. But Melissa seems so sweet and so nice. And I think she and Alan were really, really good together. So it was a bit of a heartbreaking moment for Melissa, but also, I guess, for me as a viewer, I really liked them together. So it was funny, but it was heartbreaking at the same time. And the final scene is actually really, really sweet. As Alan comes home with his box of stuff and he says, "I'm back," and Charlie replies, "I'm shocked," which I think it was always going to be the case. He was going to return home. And just before this scene, actually, I didn't mention this, it's not in my notes, but just before this, Charlie was telling Jake that he actually kind of missed Alan. And Alan hadn't been gone that long, so it was a bit of a bizarre confession from Charlie, but I quite liked it. And just as Alan is walking out of the front room with his box of stuff, Charlie turns around and wishes him happy birthday. And it was a really sweet moment. It was really lovely, and not necessarily how Alan thought he'd be spending his birthday, but I quite liked it. And yeah, it's a shame that that's what happened with the relationship with Melissa and Alan. And I love Shelly as well. I think Carol Kane is brilliant. So it's a really good episode. Some really good moments. Definitely one that I really thoroughly enjoyed. I doubt it would ever be an all-time favourite episode, but I can't fault it. David Copperfield slipped me a roofie. is a great story, well executed, quite an emotional roller coaster at times, with some pretty great moments, and ultimately, it's a solid episode of Two and a Half Men.